The Minutemen need to build a military. Let me explain why. This is the Minutemen's previous HQ. I say previous as it was recently captured in a joint assault by the Institute and their hired mercenaries, the Gunners. This castle, which is equipped with 3 artillery emplacements, is now in the hands of the Institute, and all 3 of the artillery in engagement range with the Minutemen's nearby settlement, Quincy, and the Brotherhood of Steel's behemoth, the Prydwen. Fortunately, Ronnie Shaw, a Minuteman present in the defense against the Institute, managed to barricade and collapse the entrances into the castle's underground armory, which is where the artillery shells are stored. Unfortunately, however, there's no food rations stored in these tunnels. Ronnie Shaw may be the Commonwealth's unsung hero today, but she soon might perish in the same manner that the previous general the Minutemen had. The Gunners have already begun excavating the rubble and will soon have access to the artillery shells. The Minutemen and Brotherhood of Steel fully understand the threat of this situation. They may see the Commonwealth and its citizens differently, but there is one thing that unites them, one common enemy that threatens their positions in the Commonwealth, and only one way to stop them: war. And war never changes. The Minutemen only have a small militia and some farmers able to fight in the war against the Institute. If we're to fight in a war, then we will need a force that is well trained and well armed. Our new military allies, the Brotherhood of Steel, are reluctant to give our soldiers any weapons, but they will offer us training. In return, the Minutemen must supply the Brotherhood with sufficient food and water from the nearby settlement, Nordhagen Beach. After this request is fulfilled, the Minutemen and Brotherhood will begin constructing shooting ranges, training grounds, and schools, all with the purpose of training the Minutemen on how to work effectively in battle. Additionally, the Brotherhood of Steel have been secretly creating a teleportation device which they believe will grant them access to the Institute. The Brotherhood hold this information very close and have only revealed it to one outsider, the General of the Minutemen. We can't fight a war if we do not know our enemy. The Brotherhood needs someone, not from their ranks, to infiltrate the Institute and find out any information of what our enemy is up to. The first move that we need to make in rebuilding the Minutemen is to build our new military headquarters. Most of our trained soldiers fell in the attack on the castle, or are busy defending our already claimed territory. The small force that we do have needs somewhere near the Prydwen to perform their operations. The Brotherhood have designated Fort Strong's ruins, a nearby location, surrounded by water and only enterable by these 2 bridges. Also, along the path to Fort Strong is Nordhagen Beach, the soon-to-be water and food farm for the Brotherhood. Before the Minutemen can begin building their new HQ, however, the Brotherhood first need to secure their asset. There's a lot of explosive payload inside this fort, and they aren't willing to just hand it over to the Minutemen. I wanted to give this fort a different theme to my usual builds, to differentiate it between the Minutemen style and the Brotherhood's. There's an elevator leading onto the roof, where the Brotherhood have set up their operation, also giving them the high ground over the ruins below. With Fort Strong now under the Brotherhood's control, the Minutemen can begin building their new HQ. If we take a step back and look at the area, there's a good amount of pre-existing structures, with roads already creating a general layout. I want to rebuild these ruins instead of creating new structures, staying faithful to the original layout and utilizing what we already have at our disposal. The first structure that I want to rebuild is the one nearest to the Prydwen. The structure turned out quite interesting, and for the purpose of the building, well, as Fort Strong will house our army, every army needs a place to eat, so this building will serve as the mess hall for the Minutemen. I wanted quite a large operation in the kitchen, as they will be feeding a lot of troops. And in the other room is the dining room, giving off a military look by minimizing any personal decorations. Now, what does a soldier with a full belly need? Somewhere to sleep. This structure on the opposite side of the settlement as the mess hall is where I want to build the sleeping quarters. As I mentioned earlier, we don't have many soldiers left, so this small barracks will be enough to house the army that we do have. The main road leading into the settlement splits off into two, with each road leading towards a building which we've created. I want to create a dual entrance on each of these roads, connecting them with a central defensive piece. The entrances are now secure, however it seemed unnecessary to go too crazy with the fortifications, as we'll be building at Nordhagen Beach, which is located right before the bridge leading towards Fort Strong. So Nordhagen can act as the first line of defense. This is a good time to mention the Brotherhood and Minutemen's Alliance flag. It's the Minutemen logo integrated with the Brotherhood logo. Now that the soldiers have their needs met, I want to build a new HQ building where the Minutemen leadership can operate from. I'm thinking that we do a similar design to the ones that are built at the castle, as it will stand out from the rest of the buildings towering over the compound. Now I just have to remember how I built it. Alright, I think I was able to replicate the design pretty well. This tower will act as the General's new quarters, with quarters also for Preston and Ronnie Shaw, if we manage to save her in time. On the bottom floor, we have the meeting room. I wanted to give it a cozy feel with the fireplace, but still having it look like there's some military things going on in here. On display in this room is our new outfit rank structure for the Minutemen troops. From left to right, we have the Heavy Trooper, the Storm Trooper, Supply Runner, and finally, the Scout Trooper. Higher up in the tower are where I made the sleeping quarters for Preston, and a floor above that is for Bob, the General of the Minutemen. Below the command building, I built a little razor grain farm, as militaries often make use of dried grain biscuits, so it seemed fitting that the troops would farm this land when they're not doing any training. Next to the command tower, I want to build a supply stockpile. Although this is a simple build, I think that the effect comes across. Looking from a distance, I like the way that these two builds look side by side. The Minutemen aren't left with many supplies after losing our armory at the castle, but our supply runners have been collecting some useful equipment. Now we just have to build somewhere to store that equipment. We may not have a massive armory of high-tech weaponry, but we do have a good amount of cheap ammunition for pipe rifles and fusion cells for our laser muskets. Ronnie Shaw, who is currently still in the castle's underground armory, has access to a ham radio. We need a communication building so that when the gunners are close to breaching the armory, she can contact us and let us know. I built the structure centralized in the compound, and it has a communication array pointed right at the castle. Inside, there's a station for the radio man to communicate with Ronnie, and a bedroom in the opposite room. Now, I want to build something that resembles a medieval quartermaster, but instead of forging and sharpening swords, he will repair our simple pipe weapons. This ruin is the only one left, so that's where I'll build it. When soldiers need their weapons repaired, they can hand them in to the quartermaster, who will get them working just right again. It made sense that repairing pipe weapons could be done quickly and cheaply compared to the pre-war weapons, so that's what I wanted him to focus on. With that quartermaster complete, Fort Strong is now rebuilt. The The Brotherhood don't have a sustainable means of feeding their troops, so they've requested that the Minutemen farm their food and water. As mentioned previously, Nordhagen Beach is the perfect location for this, being close by to the Prydwen and also Fort Strong. There's this road splitting these two large plots of land. I'm thinking that on the left side of the road, we build the village where the settlers who grow the crops will live, whilst the right side will be where the farming operation will be conducted. First things first, I want to secure this bridge leading into the settlement. Alright, we've got the bridge secured, and there's even a guardhouse right on the entrance. I think it makes sense that we build the town first, so I'm going to start placing down some houses and trying to create a basic layout of a town. Okay, I've placed down some structures, but I don't think it's dense enough to feel like a town yet. Okay, it's starting to feel more like a town. I actually think we could build a watchtower here, as the surrounding area is quite open, meaning that a watchtower would be able to see any approaching enemies quite easily. That watchtower definitely improved the look a ton, but a watchtower isn't enough defense for the entire settlement. With the walls in place, it definitely feels more secure, and with plenty of decorations scattered around the settlement, it's starting to come together nicely. The final steps now are to get some trees scattered around the streets, and also some electricity. For scrappy towns like this, I like to have lots of wires hanging over the walkways. It creates a good feeling when walking through the streets. It also gives me the ability to hang lights from the wires, giving me another way of lighting the streets instead of just the street lights. So, with all of that in place, half of Nordhagen is complete. We also have a flag to represent the citizens working here at Nordhagen Beach, and a flag representing the farming side, which is where we're going to get to next. So, as I said previously, I want this side to be where the settlers can farm the food and water for the Brotherhood. As this is quite an important asset for the Brotherhood, they will be defending it with their own defensive walls and troops that are stationed here. They will also need a way of transporting the food and water to their main base at Boston Airport. So the first thing that I want to build is a vertibird landing pad. I'll spruce the area up soon, but it's good enough for now. This building here receives the incoming calls, letting the settlement know when a vertibird is on its way for a pickup. Next, I want to start the water purification operation. Along this beach, I'm thinking of building a pier. There we go. I made sure to place down some barrels, signifying that this is how they store and transport the purified water. This structure here on the pier acts as a warehouse for any stored water or tools as well. Before we move on to the food farming, I was thinking that a tower in the center of this area would look pretty good. If we take a step back and look at the settlement from the bridge, having a tower on each side of the road could create a nice symmetrical look. Besides, it also makes sense that the Brotherhood would want a way to keep an eye on the settlers, kind of like a prison tower. But this isn't a prison, although now that I think of it, it's starting to kind of feel like a forced labor camp. I wanted to give this tower a different look by giving it more of a solid steel base, making it fit with the Brotherhood's aesthetic. Now, I want to build a small barracks where a few Brotherhood knights and initiates stationed here can sleep. Alright, that's simple enough. Again, making it feel different to the Minutemen style, but as it's out in the field, I wanted it to look a little bit more scrappy than you would expect from the Brotherhood. Now it's time that we got all of the food planted. The land here is very uneven, but I'll see what I can come up with. Instead of going with one big field, I decided on separate smaller farms, each specializing in their own crop. This platform here is where the farmed food is stored. And then when the vertibird arrives, the boxes and barrels are then taken to the landing pad to be loaded up and transported back to the airport. I think the only thing that's missing now is some turrets, and also for the Brotherhood to move some troops here. With the food and water farm set up at Nordhagen Beach, the Brotherhood need a place to unload and store the supplies ferried from the settlement. There is this landing pad at Boston Airport, but I believe that this is mostly used as the staging ground for their operations throughout the Commonwealth, judging by the ammo crates and chem boxes on the nearby tables. So I want to build a new landing pad, which is specifically designed for efficiently unloading and storing the food and water taken from Nordhagen Beach. The main settlement area for Boston Airport will work perfectly for this. Let's start by extending the Brotherhood's perimeter up to this point. And now we should be able to fit a landing pad in here. Alrighty, perfect. Now let's build an elevator so that supplies can be lifted up and into this area above. And now with the logistics done, we can start decorating the place, making it really feel like a storage area. I've gotten the bottom area complete with some crates and barrels that we used at Nordhagen, signifying the food and water storage. Now let's move on to the upper layer. And there we go. I really like how this area's turned out so far. It really does feel like there's some storage logistics happening in this area. Now we just need to add some lighting and get some Brotherhood soldiers and scribes at work here. The Brotherhood's forces now have a reliable and efficient means of supplying their troops with food and water. The Minutemen have successfully fulfilled their end of the alliance, and now it's time for the Brotherhood to do the same. This area just outside the Brotherhood's main compound is quite flat, which will make it a perfect place for us to build the training courses and shooting ranges. But first, we need a school building where Brotherhood specialists can teach the Minutemen the fundamentals of combat. The structure ended up blending in pretty well with the surroundings, and on the first floor we have the weapons class, where Minutemen get taught on how to disassemble, clean, and how the inner workings of their firearms actually work. Upstairs is the medic class, where everyone gets taught the basics of applying stim packs or radaways when the need arises. Now let's move on to building the practical classes, and we'll start by building the shooting range. Here we go, plenty of glassware at random heights and distances, ready to train the Minutemen in marksmanship. Finally, every soldier needs to keep fit and need to be able to traverse any obstacle in their path. So let's finish this area off by building an obstacle course. And with that complete, the Minutemen stationed at Fort Strong can now begin their training and will soon be ready to take the fight to the Institute.
Everything looks green. RF wave capture complete. I'm inputting the code now. 80%. Transmitting in 3, 2, 1. Stay safe, soldier.
I know why you're here. I'd like to discuss things with you face to face. To talk to you about what we can do for everyone. I can only imagine what you've heard, what you think of us. Welcome to the Institute. I'd like to show you that you may have the wrong impression. As you've seen, things above are unstable. A shared vision of how science can help shape the future. And our actions are often misinterpreted by those above ground. Someday, perhaps, we can show them what we've accomplished.
Sean?
Huh? Yes, I'm Sean.
Oh, goddamn them. These bad people, they stole you.
I don't know you. Go away! Father? Father, help me!
Recall code Cirrus. He's a prototype, you understand.
I could kill you. Right here. Right now.
You're either with us or you're not. I had certainly hoped we could work together. You've been in the Commonwealth. You've seen what it's like. The Brotherhood of Steel. They believe they're the only ones fit to control technology, claiming to want to save the Commonwealth. They cannot even protect themselves. Their cause is a doomed one.